right, so we're back here on another Couch Coach Live as we continue our ninth annual Couch Coach Live NFL previews. And tonight we'll be discussing the AFC and the NFC West. So we got our guys in the building. What's going on, JB?
What's going on, man? How you been? Long time no see.
Just grinding, just working. Keep on, just keeping it going. All I can do, yep. And we got our guy, the QB Whisperer. My Off the Ball Network brethren. What's going on, Thad?
What's good, man? Glad to be back on again. It's that time again, and I'm ready to break down the best division, and I don't know what the NFC West is, but I'm ready to get cool.
Yeah. So, and you definitely alluded to as far as potentially maybe the best division in all of NFL, as far as on paper. We all know the best conference, the best division in the NFL is the NFC East. So we'll have that discussion later on in another time period. But we know how it comes to the East, where as far as on paper the West is stacked, but we all know the pageantry and everything that goes with it. It definitely reigns in the East. So, fellas, let's get started with our AFC West. Go around the horn, fellas. The biggest storyline in the AFC West. I'm gonna go with you first, Thad. What is your biggest storyline heading into this conference?
Who will take over the reign of the AFC West? The Chiefs for the last 5 or 6 years have just not dominated, but they've held it down. They just, it's a fight for second place pretty much every year. So which team will step up to the plate? A lot of teams made a lot of moves. I think every team in the AFC West had a great offseason. Whether it's losing players and replacing them with key players in the draft or free agency, they all did a good job. So who will take the reign in the AFC West is my biggest storyline.
Yeah. Okay. All right, what you got, JB?
My biggest storyline is actually what Patrick Mahomes is going to show up this year. I think that one thing that people didn't really talk about enough last year was Patrick Mahomes did not play well last year. I mean, he struggled a lot. I know that they got going towards the end of the season, but a lot of their getting going was due to the resurgence of their defense. So is Patrick Mahomes going to be the guy that we saw 2018, 19, or 20? Or was that more of just kind of the best is going to get with more, and is 2021 more of what we're going to get from him? And how are they going to replace Tyreek Hill? They traded away Tyreek Hill. He's a pretty big weapon. I mean, he was one of the big reasons why that offense was so hard to stop. So that to me is the big storyline. It's the Chiefs.
Yeah, big time. And like you said, to echo both you, JB and Thad's sentiments. Obviously, Kansas City Chiefs reign supreme in this division for the last few years or so. It's just, to me, it's a wild west of quarterbacks. Where you look at now, the team that we looked at is a team that was a quarterback short. Gets a guy in the Russell Wilson. So the 2-time Richard Time Dispatch Player of the Year, I might add. So, I always like keeping that little deal.
Shout out to the 804. Yeah. Shout out to the 804. It's all about the 804 on the show.
And this is going to be, to me, is this going to be the year that the Chargers always the Dr. Jekyll and Mrs. Hyde? Which side of the Chargers are we going to see this year? Are we going to see the one where, me personally, when I've always had heightened expectations for this LA Chargers team, they've always kind of backpedaled. And it's one of those things where can this team actually finally take that leap? So you look at that, and also talking about, as far as Russell Wilson heading to the AFC West, and it's just like you said, and it really encapsulates your point earlier, that where this potentially on paper is probably the best conference, best division in all of football. So it definitely can potentially live up to that height, especially with the acquisition of Russell Wilson going to Denver. So yeah. So, fellas, we got breakout players in the AFC West. First, I'm gonna go with you first, JB. Who is your it don't have to be necessarily one particular player, but it can be multitude of players. Who the guys that you see as far as be breaking out in this division?
I mean, I hope for Denver's sake it's Judy. I think it's got to be Judy. I mean, I think that he was drafted high. I mean, he's shown some moments, but I mean, I think that you could always go back and be like, well, he really didn't have the best quarterback. He's going to be playing with a top 4, top 5 quarterback this year. So I think and also we have to like touch on the fact that Patrick tore his ACL today, so that's a huge loss for them. So I mean, I think it's got to be Judy. Judy's got to step up this year for Denver. I mean, like, is he going to step up and is he going to prove that, like, hey, I'm the guy that they drafted. I'm ready to be a number 1 receiver. No drops, no like lapses in judgment like he's had his first 2 years. He's got to be that guy this year. Because I mean, if he's not, I think that you have to honestly think maybe I can't give this guy a 5th year restriction and make him play through his 4th year. So
yeah. What you got there?
Oh, that's a great take about Judy. But he finally has a quarterback that could really, really get him the ball. So I think he's really gonna, shine this year. But for me, this kind of easy one. I know a lot of people are kind of saying it in a way. I think Mecole Hardman is gonna break out this year. Not like Tyreek Hill, of course, but just him getting more touches. Like, his touches were very limited in the offense. With Kelsey, and then you got Hill, and then Robinson and Pringle, all those guys, touching the ball. I think he's finally gonna get the breakout. He's going to take that role that Tyreek had, taking the top off the defense sometimes on those deep shot plays. And he just has to come through. He showed, signs. He's been inconsistent at times. Needs to work on ball control because he'll fumble the ball as well. Can't do, but I think he's going to have a really solid season. Him and Scott Moore are really going to be a nice little tandem out there, I think. And with the other guys they brought in, Valdez Scantling. So I'm going to go with Mecole Hardman. I think he's going to be featured way more in the offense. So this is time to shine.
And like I said, and I also agree with JB. Like, as far as I looked at Jerry Jeudy, especially after the Tim Patrick injury, this today found that out, and like especially at a year like last year where he didn't score a touchdown. So I looked at that as like this is going to be the best situation for him. It's really not a carousel, the quarterback position for him. So as far as he doesn't really have to worry about that necessarily. Barring anything catastrophic, but also not breakout player, also no bias, but I look at Javonte Williams. I think Javonte Williams is going to be 1,000-yard back in this league. I guarantee you. I put that on it, pretty much anything. I think he'll be a solid guy. Putting up numbers and what school you went to, Thad? UNC. So
another mediocre season coming. I only want Josh Downs to eat. That's it. Josh Downs. If he eats, I'm cool with it. But.
Yeah, the real Josh Allen. But yes, I definitely look at Javonte Williams as a guy, especially in that offense where it's a multifaceted offense. So that I definitely think he'll get an opportunity to crack that 1,000-yard mark. He was really short. He was like 9-10 last year. So I definitely think he'll get it this year. So I definitely think he'll have a pretty good season this year for the Denver Broncos. So, fellas, and especially in this division where it's kind of weird, where like we talked about as far as like just the depth of it, 1 through 4. I think everybody can pretty much make a case for any of these teams that could contend. Like, to a point where if it was realistically, we could say, hey, four of these teams might potentially make the playoffs. But okay. So all right. So any dark horses in this division? What you got, Thad?
For me, it's not really a dark horse, but I'm going with the Chargers. They've come up short time after time, especially last season. They came down to the last play. Just a lot of questionable decisions in the second half, blown leads. They lose a lot of close games, and I just think this is the year that they get over the hump. Herbert's look as advertised. There was questions coming in when he was picked in the top 10, honestly, because he didn't do that well at Oregon his last year. He was okay, but nobody saw this coming. And he's a top 7 guy right now, a top 8 guy. So I think he's going to step up to the plate. The guys around him are going to break out as long as Derwin James can stay healthy. And they got Khalil Mack. They added J.C. Jackson. Pass rush is going to be crazy. Asante Samuel Jr. They're not going to have to cover for very long. That's going to help them out. And they got playmakers in the secondary. So I just think this is the year they break out. Their head coach, some of his calls I didn't agree with, but I like the way he is aggressive, how aggressive he is. But I think he needs to just tone it down a tad. And I think the Chargers will be just fine. I think they're sitting pretty. It's gonna be tough though. Every game counts because this AFC West is crazy.
Yeah, you're right about that. JB, what you got?
Yeah, I agree. I agree with everything they just said. I think that it definitely it has to be the Chargers. I think that the Chargers definitely probably blew a couple of games last year that they should have won. I mean, like, and I put that on coaching. Like, you have to know when to be aggressive and when not to be aggressive. I mean, you look at that Kansas City game that they lost at home in overtime on Thursday Night Football. If they kick a couple of field goals there, that game doesn't even go to overtime. They win that game. If they win that game, they make the playoffs. So like I definitely think that they had a very, very good offseason. I know a lot of people were talking about the Raiders. I'm a little lower on the Raiders this year. We can get into that a little later, but like I definitely think the Chargers could win a division this year. Depending on what goes on with Mahomes, the Chargers could definitely win the division. You mentioned Herbert as a top 7, top 8 guy. I actually have him higher. I think he's proven the first 2 years that he's actually a top 5 quarterback. I mean, they weren't 9-8 because of Herbert. They were 9-8 because of defense and coaching and stuff like that. But they definitely did a lot of stuff to upgrade their defense this year. So it's make or break for Chargers. I'll go as far as to say this: if the Chargers don't make the playoffs this year, I think that they maybe have to think about moving on from Chris. Their coach's name is his name is Staley, right?
Brandon Staley.
Yeah, I think that you maybe have to think about moving on from him because I mean I think this is a very, very talented roster. It's just going to be. Is he going to be able to make the right calls? Is he going to tone it down, or is he going to be acting like kind of like Riverboat Ron, a younger version of Riverboat Ron. So yeah, but yeah, for me, I agree. I definitely think Chargers. They're my team.
Ouch, that hurt, Charlie. Ouch. But yeah, but I think the dark horse to me is going to be the Denver Broncos, and it's funny. Like last year, and they use around. I used to deem them as a Washington football team in the West, where they were quarterback short at that time. I look at them as a team that I think potentially that's the only thing that they really needed. Obviously, last year they were 8th in total defense last year. So then coupled with, obviously last year their offense was 19th ranked overall. So, hey, you look at some of those games that Denver played. Hey, if they would have had like a Russell Wilson, they could have soldiered through those games. Obviously, they finished at 7-10 last year. So this is one of those where this adds intrigue to this division where you got a guy like a Russell Wilson there too. So you look at that coupled with the already piece they already have had, it's definitely going to be one of those where they can really crash this AFC West party. So I definitely look at them as potential, as the dark horse team in this division. So gotta get you fellas some hot takes. Gotta get your hot takes for the AFC West. It's one of those things where it's not like a barometer of heat. Whatever. It could be something as simple as a bold prediction. It don't have to be nothing outlandish like the Raiders gonna go 17-0. Now I'm not looking for that type of hot take, but just a hot take that you got for this division. I'm gonna go with you first, Thad. I'm gonna go with you first, Thad.
My hot take is the likeliness of this happening is not very good, but I'm going to say all 4 teams make the playoffs. They find their way in the playoffs. I know the AFC is loaded. With the 6 games, if they don't appeal, I think the Browns are going to be in good shape to make the playoffs along with the Ravens. So, those spots are taken up. I don't know what New England's going to do this year, so it's tough. But I think the AFC West is going to send 4. All these squads are loaded up. If any team is left out, it's going to be the Raiders, in my opinion. But I think the AFC West is as advertised. All these, some teams look good on paper and they don't show up, but I think most of the acquisitions they got were guys we've already seen play. We know what they are, so I think they're all going to be key additions, and I think all these teams are going to be top notch.
Yeah, it definitely, like you said, if it was ever a possibility of that happening, it would be in this division that all 4 would make it. JB, what you got as far as your hot take for this?
My hot take's a little different. I think that I don't think all 4 teams are going to make the playoffs, and I'll be frank. I think that there's a possibility that only 2 of these teams make the playoffs. I think that we're getting caught up in off-season moves, and we're not really looking at chemistry or whatever. So I'm going to tell you what my hot take is. My hot take is the Raiders are not going to make the playoffs this year, and not only that, I don't think they're going to have a winning record this year. I think that the Raiders are maybe 8-9 this year. And the reason why I say this is because if you look at what happened last year, they were very fortunate. They won a lot of close games. And generally speaking, when you win a lot of close games, there's a regression to the mean. So one of the things that I'm also looking at too is like when I'm looking at teams that are going to make the playoffs, I'm looking at quarterback play. I mean, you have to say now that Derek Carr is the worst quarterback in the division. For years, it was the Broncos. The Broncos had the worst quarterback in the division, but now, well, for us, I mean, Carr by no means is he a bad quarterback, but like if you look at what he's done over the last few years, especially his red zone efficiency, it's horrible. If they don't convert these red zone possessions into touchdowns this year, they're going to be in for a rude awakening. Like they went 10-7 last year. I could see them regressing down to an 8-9 team. I really could.
Yeah. And that's the thing too, where especially like you said, and the chemistry effect, and also just the fact of Josh McDaniels now being the new head coach, like how is that? Because we all kind of know, and not to kind of go back to have revisionist history, his first go around wasn't the best. Obviously, his relationship with like a Jay Cutler. So you look at that as as a situation where could that potentially be that way. So, and like you said, in most divisions, Derek Carr wouldn't be the worst quarterback in the division, but in this division, as we talked about it earlier, like this the wild west of quarterbacks, where, like you said, Denver was like the team that it was always it was Drew Lock, Brock Osweiler, all the quarterbacks down the line, and now they actually have that the quarterback in place.
And another thing I think people are forgetting, because I know that that's a hot take all 4 teams, but I think people are forgetting, like, if Lamar Jackson doesn't get hurt last year, the Ravens and the Bengals, I expect for both of them to be playoff teams. So that's 2 teams right there. So that leaves essentially a team out. I don't know how good New England is going to be this year, and I don't know how good Miami is going to be this year, but I don't think all 4 teams of the AFC West are going to make the playoffs. I think that one of those teams is going to be a disappointment. And if I had to put some money on it, I would say I think the Raiders would probably be the disappointment in the division.
Yeah, the Broncos. I think the Broncos, chemistry-wise, they're going to be fine because they're really really just Russ. They had a Randy Gregory too. I don't know how he's going to do in that system, but I think the Broncos are going to be pretty solid. But I don't know. When I was naming teams, I'm not going to lie to you, I forgot about the Bengals. I don't think they're going to win the division though. I know they added O-line and stuff, but I'm not saying last year was a fluke by any means. But they're not as good as people are. I don't think they're going to be a top AFC team. They'll make they'll be a wild card team this year.
And y'all can't discount and say you're gonna get mad at me. But you can't you can't discount Pittsburgh with my nephew under center, Joe Montana Trubisky.
Don't even start that. We don't even know. He might be out by week 5.
I know, right? Shout out to my guy Mitchell, Joe Montana Trubisky.
But listen though, like next year when we're going into next season and it's everybody healthy, Deshaun Watson will be there from week 1, and Pittsburgh has their situation figured out. The AFC might be crazy because we don't know what Miami's going to be. I don't know.
And like you said, we don't know either. So that's the thing too, where and that's why I like, and that's the beauty about having these previews, because like once it's all kind of said and done with the record predictions, and then from there I'll be like, okay, well, who's going to be those wild card teams? So. Like you said, the AFC is stacked, like and we'll definitely see that as the weeks progress. So my hot take is we'll be bringing in the new year on January the 1st, 2023. That'll be in our locales. You a little bit further south than us there, but it'll be potentially a cold day, and we'll be treated to a Chiefs and Broncos matchup. Potentially, that could potentially have a wild card implication or wild card spot in Week 17, the week before the final week regular season, final week of the regular season. So I think a January 1st matchup in Arrowhead could determine who's going to get that wild card spot in the AFC. So it's my hot take on a potential cold day in Kansas City. So, so best part of the preview. Well, we all are going to go wrong, and I can't wait till like January the 9th when January 8th when all the smoke clears and get everybody's record. So, fellas, your AFC West record predictions. I'm gonna go with you first, Thad. It doesn't matter if you want to go from who's going to be from worst to first or worst to first, or best to worst. It don't matter. Just what you got.
Okay. I have the Raiders finish last. They're going to be 9-8.
Mm-hmm.
I have the Broncos finishing third. They're going to be 10-7. And then I have the Chiefs and Chargers tying at 12-5.
Okay. And who's gonna win that division? What you got?
If I had to pick a tiebreaker, I'm gonna go. I think the Chiefs are gonna hold it down one more year.
Okay.
They're hearing all the noise talking about this because they lost Tyreek. It's over with. I'm interested to see what they do. So I got the Chiefs. Okay. On that tiebreaker. I don't know how to, because they're gonna split. They're not sweep. Nobody's sweeping anybody. They're gonna split. So it's gonna be probably AFC record, better AFC record or something.
Yeah, it's gonna be one of those. It's gonna be black and blue potentially. JB, what you got? Your record prediction?
Last place, give me the Raiders 8-9. Third place, Broncos 10-7. Second place, Chiefs 11-6, and first place, give me the Chargers 12-5.
Okay. 12-5. All right, so Raiders 8-9, Broncos 10-7, Chiefs 11-6, and Chargers 12-5. All right. So, last place is gonna be the Raiders. Actually, I got them at 7-10. So I got the Broncos in third place at 9-8. The Kansas City Chiefs at a whopping 10-7. And in the great words of the former governor of California, "Go Chargers, go!" Give me the Chargers at 11-6. So, and they'll win the division. And Justin Herbert, and also a hot take. I forgot to add this too because I had that too. An MVP. Don't be surprised if an MVP comes out of this division.
Well, I mean, if the Chargers win 12 games, I mean, I think Herbert might definitely win MVP. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think because I can make a case for potentially. Well, really, I mean, you really can make a case for all four of them if their season is successful.
Successful, yeah.
They all have weapons. They
all got weapons. So that's the interesting thing about the West. So it's just like, yeah. So I definitely think the Chargers are gonna win this division, big time. So let's transition a little bit from the AFC to the NFC. So, and this is comprised of, we have the Super Bowl champion LA Rams, the Arizona Cardinals, the Seattle Seahawks, and the San Francisco 49ers. So, fellas, let's go around the horn. The biggest storyline of the NFC West. I'm going to go with you first. Thad, what you got?
Which Trey Lance are we going to get? We saw him in limited action this year. He was okay, up and down, a little consistent. They gave up the farm to get him. They let go of Jimmy G, who was a winner. Everybody doesn't like him because it's not pretty. He does have some bad moments, but he was a solid quarterback and a winner. So when you're giving him up and you're giving 3 first-round draft picks, you got to hit. You got to produce. A lot went on his shoulders because, honestly, when we talk about the division, we'll get to that later, but which Trey Lance we get is going to change a lot. Like, if he's really good, San Francisco is a contending team once again. And if he's really bad, they have no shot. So which Trey Lance are we going to get? Which guy's going to show up, So, and he has Shanahan. So I really feel like this is the best place for him to be. So if he's not good, if he's not as advertised, it's going to be rough for 49ers.
Yep, big time. What you got, JB?
Oh, so for me, I would definitely say um, that's my second storyline, the Trey Lance thing. But I think the biggest storyline for me is just the whole Kyler Murray situation, and like this situation that was like such big news last week. Does that trickle down to the season? And I think another thing with Kyler Murray also is he going to be able to stay healthy? I mean, I think that's the biggest question. I mean, if he can't stay healthy and he's only going to be able to give you like 11 or 12 games a season, did you overpay for him? Essentially, you may have actually. Um, so for me, it's like Kyler Murray and can he stay healthy? And is there any drama with this contract and these stipulations that were in the contract? And let's not forget either, DeAndre Hopkins is going to miss the first 6 games this year too. That's a huge loss for Arizona. He was Kyler's like a safety net the past few years.
Yeah, yeah. So I got a few. Obviously, I think can the Rams repeat? Just from the standpoint of they've got extremely, and it's crazy how most like I think we might have talked about this one time there, where it's weird like how when it comes to Super Bowl champions, you always there's a lot of turnover on the roster, and sometimes you do have scenarios where you do lose, but then also with a lot of those subtractions, they were a lot with additions. Obviously, lose a guy like a Von Miller, then you replace him for like a Bobby Wagner. You look at wide receiver depth. Now you bring in Allen Robinson, which I think that was criminal that they was able to get Allen Robinson on top of like Cooper Kupp and everything else got there. Also, will Arizona continue the streak of the host team winning the Super Bowl? They have the pressures on Arizona because obviously their predecessors, the LA Rams, did it, and then Tampa Bay did it in 2020. Will they be there? And then are we having a suck for Bryce scenario in Seattle potentially? Are we bracing ourselves for a very cold northwestern winter where people in the Pacific Northwest will be looking at Ohio State and Alabama games and see C.J. Stroud and also Bryce Young? So that's concerned. So that's then also like you said that the Trey Lance transition. Will it be a scenario where it's going to be an easy transition? It's curious to see. So that's going to be kind of storylines that I'm looking forward to seeing in the NFC West. So let's talk about our breakout players. Let's see. All right, so we got some. Then I'm gonna go with you first. Breakout player in the NFC West. What you got?
You kind of already talked about it. Allen Robinson for me. He's never one thing people have to think about. Like he's never ever had a good quarterback ever. He went from Blake Bortles to Mitchell Trubisky. I saw him in Jacksonville. The potential. If he would have never torn his ACL, he might still be playing for us. He probably would have requested a trade by now. But Allen Robinson, man, Matthew Stafford is a really good quarterback, and him and Cooper Kupp, Van Jefferson. I don't know what they're doing OBJ, but they're gonna spread the field out. You can't really double team too many people, which is why Van Jefferson might have a really good season. But Allen Robinson is not going to be seeing the number one corner. Well, when Cooper Kupp's in the slot, he might. But if they don't travel, we're gonna see. But I think he's really going to have a good season, and I think the Rams are going to be right back in the mix for the representing NFC because I really don't see too many teams. They kept a lot of people. They lost some people, but they kept the key people. And I just think the offense is going to get better and better in year 2, with Matthew Stafford under the helm. So Allen Robinson, man, he's a big body guy. He's great in the red zone. Cooper Kupp's great in the red zone. So who you going to double team? He's great for the fade ball. He makes the quarterback look good sometimes, some of the catches he makes. So I think Allen Robinson's going to have a great 2022 campaign.
Yeah, like you said, yeah, that's definitely yep. JB, what you got?
So yeah, I totally agree with you on Allen Robinson. You took the words out of my mouth. I think he's going to have a monster year. I mean, and this is kind of strange for us to say that a guy is going to be a breakout player when he's had multiple years where he was a 1,000-yard receiver, but he's never played with a quarterback the caliber of Matthew Stafford. And another guy I'm going to throw out there too. I actually kind of fell in love with this guy towards the end of last year. Brandon Ayuk of the 49ers, I definitely think that like Debo is like just an athletic freak, but if you just like look at it like film, Ayuk is actually is a better route runner than Debo Samuel is. So I think that Brandon Ayuk actually could have a pretty good year as the second receiver with Debo getting most of the attention.
Yeah. So I look at my breakout players. Actually, a guy that we talked about a little bit earlier, and Trey Lance. I definitely think, like you said, this will be the year where we're going to see what as far as what John Lynch and Kyle Shanahan saw in this guy, and he'll have the weapons. So, like you said, you talked about it earlier. Obviously, we had a small sample size of what he did last year in those 2 starts. So you want to see. I think he's going to definitely. If we see San Francisco going to be successful, he's going to be the major key of their success as far as from the quarterback position. And I just think and I'm not going to. And sometimes this is more of a historical reference. This could be almost a potential of how like the transition between Alex Smith and Colin Kaepernick potentially. This has that kind of feeling in the sense where as far as could he take these guys to the next level, because obviously they had a 10-point lead in the NFC Championship game and kind of sequestered that, and so I think he'll be a guy if San Francisco is successful this year, it's going to be contingent on his play. So
100%.
Yeah, and like you said, and I think Cal will do a good job with them as far as his offensive play call, and like you said, I think they'll have him prepared. They'll have him, pretty much, prepared for this opportunity. So he'll be at least, prepared for it. Now, could the physical and mental kind of all come together and complete this whole package? So that's the biggest thing as far as that's concerned. But yeah. So, fellas, dark horse in the NFC West, what you got there?
It's not really a dark horse. Once again, it's the 49ers for me. It all depends on Trey Lance, like I talked about earlier. If he's the guy they drafted him to be, 49ers could potentially be a first-place team if they if they stay healthy. That's the biggest thing with them, because, injuries is rough with them.
Yeah.
But, it's the 49ers. There's nothing really much to say. It's not – Seahawks have no shot. D-Hop's out for 6 games. We talked about it in the Cardinals preview, what I think about them, and we're going to talk about it with the record. So, it's the 49ers for me.
Yeah. What you got, JB?
Same thing. I think the Cardinals are maybe going to take a step back this year. I think that them not having D-Hop, and like here's the other thing that I think is a bit scary for the Cardinals too, is if you look at them, they usually get off to these quick starts. Yeah. Are they going to get off to a quick start this year? Because if they don't, they kind of fall apart the second half of the year. So I mean, like I think them missing D-Hop the first 6 games, that's going to be huge, man. And like, I mean, I think that if they don't get off to like a 6-2 start, then like, their season could be over with, like, where they're struggling to be a 500 team. And I think that is, we'll get into the predictions later, but I think that's like the most likely scenario for them. I definitely think the 49ers, like, I really like the analogy that you use, because like it could definitely be similar to like them going from Alex Smith to Colin Kaepernick. If he is decent this year, I think that they're a playoff team with the defense that they have. But the key is they have to stay healthy. And when we look at it, like 2018 they were banged up, 2019 they were healthy, they made the Super Bowl, 2020 banged up, and then last year pretty healthy and they make this championship game. So a lot of it just comes down to health with them. If they're a fairly healthy team, they're a playoff team, and they're going to be a tough out in the playoffs.
Yeah. And my dark horse, and it's funny that we talked about it, it's going to be Arizona. I think the crazy thing about Arizona, and it's like we've been down this road. It's almost like, because last year they started 7-0, and they end up losing 3 games in a month of December. Which
they were 10 and they were 10-1 at one point, or 10-2 or something like that. Yeah,
and then they end up because they lost because they were 7-0. They lost like their first week in November.
They got HE Green in that game.
That Thursday night game. Yep.
Yeah.
And you think about it, and honestly, they really backpedaled in the playoffs last year. Like they literally, like if they didn't win in Dallas, I don't think they would have won at all. I don't think they would have made the playoffs. It was that bad because that would have been, that would have been another catastrophic loss. The thing with them is, like you said, and it's kind of one of the things. If they can get it together in the month in the games where it really, really counts per se, like in that, December and January games, if they can get those, obviously they weren't able to take care of those in the last 2 years. I can see them doing something, but like you said, that's another thing too, where how it's going to be predicated on how they started. Because like you said, if they, without without D-Hop for 6 weeks, you think to yourself, okay, that's, mid-October, so how will they be, when D-Hop comes back? And, and it's one of the things where if they don't have those Decembers to forget, this team could be doing something, could be making some headways in this division. So it's really contingent on that December. The only reason why I can say they dark horse, because the simple fact of, hey, if they could get at least a game, 2 or 3 games in the month of December to win, then they can make this race intriguing. Like I still think it's a potential, like as far as when it comes to winning the division, it's a one man's race. But
second place is intriguing.
Second place. They could potentially bat for that second spot. So or potentially garner a wild card spot with that being considered. But like you said, then like Seattle, like we said, we already know what Seattle's going to be. I mean, it's just one. It's going to be 1 year. You'll be okay. The sun will come out. Bryce Young will be there. You'll be okay. But so our records, we got to do our record predictions for the. Oh no, let's preface that. We jump the gun. So hot take. So, Dad, your hot take for the I got the wrong graphic. Let me get the
NFC West.
Yeah. Oh, you know what? Let me fix that real quick. Yeah, so Thad, what is your hot take for the NFC West?
It's not really a hot take, but I think the 49ers will be in the NFC Championship game.
Interesting. All right. JB, what you got?
So my hot take is this. I think that the Seahawks are not going to be as bad as everybody thinks. Now, I'm not saying anything crazy, but I think that they're going to shock people and they're going to win some games that people don't expect them to win. But that's my hot take. I don't think that they're I know some people are saying 2-15 or 3-14. I don't think they're going to be that bad. I think that they might be kind of a frisky team where they're going to lose games, but the games will be close. I expect for them to play hard. That's what I'm getting at. I don't think they're going to be a pushover because remember last year after Russ went down, they still beat the Cardinals. They beat a few teams actually. They beat the Cardinals and they beat the 49ers as well. So I think they're going to be a frisky team.
With the potential starting quarterback of this franchise this year in Geno Smith. So,
Yeah.
Who cares?
Good luck, Geno. Good luck, Geno. I wish you well.
So, what you got? You did yours already right there. Yeah. So, you know what? I think our take, you and I, that take almost kind of coexists. So one of these teams that we're talking about out of these 4 will be in Super Bowl 57 in Arizona on February 12th. But it may not be who you think it is. But stay tuned. But I think one of these teams in this division is going to make it to the Super Bowl and represent the NFC.
It's not. That's not too crazy. How many good teams is it?
It's only really when we think about it, it's really only two that we can think of, but it kind of aligns to kind of what you're saying. I
thought you were about to say Cardinals.
No. I haven't had my Super Bowl winner quite yet, but like you said, who do you say was going to the NFC Championship game?
The Niners. Yeah, gotcha.
I'm saying that could potentially where it has the makings of that potentially happening. So, but yeah, I wouldn't throw myself out the window with Arizona. I don't think that's gonna happen. And plus, how many hours of study self-study that would be between now and like February the 12th? My God, that probably that'd be a little bit too much.
Don't do that to my dog.
I know. I know, man. That's embarrassing, man. That's so embarrassing. Like, why do you Arizona? They dropped the ball on that one. So, NFC West. Predictions. I'm going to you first, JB. Your predictions for the West.
Okay, last place. Give me the Seahawks. I think that they're going to be 6-11. I give them 6 wins. I think they're going to be a frisky bunch. They're going to win. I can see them winning 2 games in the NFC in the NFC West. I don't think they're going to get swept by everybody. I give them 2 wins. Third place. Give me the Cardinals. I hate doing this to Arizona, but I'm gonna say Cardinals 8-9. Yeah. And second place, give me the Niners. I'm gonna say the Niners are gonna be 10-7. And first place, give me the Rams. I think the Rams are gonna be 13-4 this year.
Okay. Wow. Damn near identical. Yeah. What you got there?
This is gonna be quick and easy. I got the Seahawks going 4-13. Yeah, 4-13. This is gonna be a surprising when the Cardinals are going 6-11. Yeah, I got the 49ers sneaking in at 10-7, but all they need to do is get in the dance. They're a dangerous team, and I got the Rams going 11-6. A little Super Bowl hangover. I don't think they're gonna get blown out week 1, but I think Buffalo's gonna put it on them. I don't know. That might be a great game, but I think Buffalo has potential to blow them out. But those are my predictions.
Yeah. So last place, I got the Seahawks. I have them 4-13. I got the Cardinals 8-9. I definitely think they will be a team because they'll be like hovering at that 500 mark, but they'll be slightly below it. The 49ers at 10-7, the sneaky team that'll get in, just almost eerily similar to last year. And then I got the Rams at 13-4. I definitely think they'll be a team, it'll be somewhat of a hangover, but not as advertised as some. But yeah. So that rounds out the West preview, and so let's get that going. So normally we have this time of year, especially in August, we always generally do our previews for our divisions. But sometimes we do have some news stories of note during I call it the 6-week period when we do our preview. So obviously on Sunday we lost Bill Russell. So I'm just going to go around the horn, fellas. Just your thoughts on the loss of Bill Russell. I'm going to actually go with you first, Dad. Your thoughts.
Didn't really get to see him play, obviously, but, what he did for the game, 11 rings, most ever by any athlete. And what he did off the court, too, inspiring guy. He paved the way for a lot of the stuff that's going on today off the court and the actions people are taking and, stuff like that. So shout out to a legend, but I obviously didn't get to see him play, so I don't know what he was as a player, but obviously he was pretty good, Yeah. I don't want to hate on the older people, but it was a little easier back in the day. But he was a great, obviously.
Yeah, we totally understand that. We weren't around either. Even though you called me an OG, I wasn't around either. So yeah, but,
there was no NBA League Pass, unfortunately, back then.
So that would have been lit though. I wonder how much it would have cost. Well, how much would it have cost though? Like 50 cents.
Yeah, could you imagine there had been NBA League Pass back then or whatever? That would have been funny. Or if there had been this constant doing. Oh, we saw Wilt Chamberlain at the club when he was with 3 honeys.
Exactly.
So, yeah,
a Skip Bayless, trash.
Yeah. Skip Bayless would be like, yeah, he was too interested in being in the club, and he couldn't take advantage of a one-legged what's the guy say? Willis Reed. He couldn't take advantage of a Willis Reed on one leg, and they lost to the Knicks. Like, yeah, oh my god, that was crazy.
It's good for you.
But yeah, your thoughts, JB, on Bill Russell?
Oh man, he was a great ambassador. We lost a great ambassador on Sunday. Yeah, I didn't get a chance to see him play. I mean, I have seen old highlights and stuff like that. He was very, very dominant run protector, actually. Bill Russell was, but I think just what he did, winning 11 chips in 13 years. That's never going to be touched again, man. I can't see that happening ever again. And then him being ambassador off the court, him trying to pick up younger guys. Like I heard a story about when Isaiah Thomas had that horrible turnover in '87 in Game 5 against the Celtics. How he didn't even want to leave his house the next day, and actually Bill Russell called him and gave him words of encouragement, and he didn't even have to do that. I mean, you would expect for, Bill Russell to give words of encouragement to like Larry Bird after a tough loss, not the team that's going against the Celtics, but he's great ambassador, and just overall a great guy that always wanted to share words of wisdom to like the youngsters. So he'll definitely be missed.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's funny, and I echo pretty much both of you guys' sentiments as far as that being able to see him play in live action, which obviously that's the course. But the thing I loved about the NBA is they appreciate their history, and they do a great job of displaying their history. And it's just amazing, like how people, you guys hear this all the time when people say people's your favorite rapper's favorite rapper. He was our icon's favorite icon. He was a guy that everybody looked up to. If you're a LeBron guy, you're an MJ guy, or anybody in between that you idolize or that you revere, they revere Bill Russell. And I think it's just amazing how the NBA just did such a great job to kind of capture his impact. You look at like the All-Star games when that's the thing I love about those All-Star games, especially like when we had the NBA 75th anniversary, and even going back to the 50th anniversary, where you see all those guys that everybody wants to see Bill Russell. You look at the All-Star game, he's always there, and he's always around younger players. So you always see like the way it's like his impact is amongst all generations. So you look at that. And then also too, as far as he was the first ever, he's first African American head coach in any major sport. So now you look at just how that is, as far, especially now in the NBA, where half of the coaches in the NBA are black. So that's one thing too when you look at it from that standpoint of that, that impact alone, where you look at it in 2022 is being, his impact, even to this day still exists. So, and it's just one of the things where it's like like I said, we lost a true ambassador of the game, So, it was hearing it, it's just like, wow, you think to yourself, like, and we all know, like, it's just one of those things where it's just like, man, it sucks. For the stack of, it's always great to see him at All-Star weekends. And then everybody, you hearing the stories from other guys, especially like you hear especially like during All-Star weekend, you got Charles Barkley. I always say it's always good to see, see these guys, and just even just hearing everybody's stories. Like even I think Kendrick Perkins, I think that was a good story, especially, because Kendrick is our age, JB. So it's like, it's funny to think like, Bill Russell say, hey, I'm gonna give you my phone number, and you talk to me, and we'll talk and develop a relationship. He wanted to establish a relationship with a guy of his, at that age, he was like 18, 19 years old. He was a teenager, and he wanted to take Kendrick Perkins on his wing. So that's just one of the things where it's just like you said, who's gonna be that next as far as the ambassador, like as far as for this league. So that's the thing where you like, and quite frankly, you're probably not going to have an ambassador like that, ever. I mean, the impact that he's had. So, yeah. Yep. All right. So, fellas, let's put a bow on this week's Couch Coach Live. I'm gonna go around the horn. We'll go social media, any upcoming projects, plug away. I'm gonna go with you first, Dad. Tell them what's going on.
Yeah, you guys can follow me at What the Game Means to Me on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. We've done a couple episodes, a couple player interviews. We got some coming up as well, dropping top tens, and just dropping football content in general. You know, it's my favorite time of the year, like I said last time. So the content's going to keep flowing in, and follow Off the Ball Network as well.
Yeah. And also, and Thad, you'll be covering the Jacksonville Jaguars. Your episode will debut on Friday. No, what's day? Yours are going to debut on Saturday at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on our Couch Coach Live on Facebook, and our Twitter page and our YouTube page. So look out for that previewing the Jacksonville Jaguars. You know, so definitely appreciate that, Thad. And also, you check them out on the Arizona Cardinals preview that we did. So definitely, that's in the archive. So that'd be pretty much on Couch Coach Live, social media, Facebook, Twitter, and also on the YouTube page as well. So, JB, final thoughts and social media.
Oh man, great show, man. Enjoyed talking to AFC West and NFC West with you guys. Nice to see you again, Thad. You can find me on Facebook, Jamie Bailey, and you can find me on Instagram as Jamie B Foodie.
All right. Yeah. So another great episode, fellas, as we continue our 9th annual Couch Coach Live NFL preview. As I kind of teased a little bit earlier, so obviously if you we do our 2 days starting on Fridays. As you see, we did our two teams in 2 nights for 4 days, and then we'll start it back up on Friday when we got the Houston Texans and the Carolina Panthers on Friday. Thad's beloved Jacksonville Jaguars at 7 p.m. on Saturday, followed by the Atlanta Falcons at 8. Then on Sunday, we got the Colts at 7, and then we got the Saints at 8 p.m. And then round out the South pairing is going to be the Titans at 7 p.m. on Monday, and then the Bucks at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So once again, follow the podcast anywhere you get your podcast, Apple, Spotify, we're there. iHeart, anywhere you get your podcast, we're there. Social media, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Couch Coach Live, as you can see in the banner there. So pretty much anywhere social media, we're there. TikTok as well. So, so this has been this week's Couch Coach Live. We're definitely looking forward to catch you guys. You'll see we'll start doing the Souths next week. So we'll do that. I think we're going to do that at 8:30 next Tuesday because we got a special guest at 9 o'clock coming in to do the South. So that being said, man, this has been this week's Couch Coach Live, man. We'll catch you guys next week, and we're out.
Peace.
Yeah.